the screen on this iPad.
As you can see, it's pretty smashed up there. Not sure if you can see that, but it's pretty well smashed up. So first thing, we'll take it out of this case. Now, the person who this iPad belongs to tells me that the screen has been replaced before. So this really is going to be a bit of a... It can either be a bit easier to get the screen off, or it can be a bit harder. So we'll see how we go with that. Just get these tools. So it depends what adhesive they've used to stick the screen back down. But with these screens, usually, I mean, to get them off when it's the original screen, it takes quite a lot of effort, and you have to be super careful not to cause any damage to the insides, but hopefully we won't have any problems with that today. So that's already one side slackened off, and we'll just see if we can get the other side done. With these ones, all the doings is at the bottom, down here. So the wiring and such like is down there, and that's where you really have to avoid. So that looks like that's come away pretty good there. Still some adhesive up the top, sticking things down. So just push. Usually with the Apple ones, I keep saying Apple ones, it's an Apple iPad, but with the original screens you would use a bit of heat to release the screen from the adhesive, but with these ones, when it's been replaced, it's usually not necessary, because the adhesive's a bit different. Okay, so that's that off. So the next thing we need is, I'll just move this out of the way, the screwdriver. I'm going to get this screen off. So we can see it's still working there, it's all good. We need to get it off though. So we'll just take these screws out. This screw's missing. Oh, there it's there. Wasn't put back in properly. Sometimes when the ones that I've come across anyway, it's quite regular that screws haven't been replaced. Here there's a big bit of plastic, which looks like it's from the bit that covers the adhesive, which has never been peeled off. That's exactly what it is. Interesting. Just get that off. That's funny, I don't know how they... Oh, it must have been on the screen, I guess. I was going to say, I don't know how they managed to even get this screw back in, but it must have stuck down after they put it back on. The other thing with these ones, the iPad mini, is that this screen is glued on originally to the back. Hopefully not anymore because it's been replaced, or the digitizer has been replaced, but it does seem to be stuck down a wee bit there. We'll see if we can slacken it off for this. I don't know if they've maybe stuck it down with something again. It's quite unusual to do that, because it's a pain in the neck to get off, and there's not really any need to stick it down again. So I'm just slackening this off here, and there we go, that's the screen. So we need to get this off first. It's also stuck down at the bottom here with some little tape which sticks it onto the speakers at the bottom. So we'll slacken that off. You can hear the kids out there. They've disappeared for 5 minutes outside playing, so I'm expecting at least one of them to come back in screaming in a minute. So this now, we've got the screen off here. The screen just folds away over here just now. lie it down on top of there. We've slackened off this tape a little bit, so now we need to get these screws out of the back plate, which is kind of like just a shield from the inner workings. So there's quite a lot of screws in here. Again, I like to just keep them in the order that they came out for ease of putting back together. Or not ease, but it makes it, you know, you don't want to be putting the wrong screws back in the wrong places. That's a bad idea. Let's get that screw. I guess that loose one, they maybe just didn't tighten it up properly when they put it back together. Which is, you know, fair enough. Sometimes these things happen. Even with brand new, or not brand new, but iPhones and iPads that have never been taken apart before, it's quite common to find that the screws are a bit loose or whatnot. I just try and remember and put them in a bit tighter when they go back in, so as they don't. But it's not going to cause any problems. Everything's glued shut anyway, but it's just best, I think, to have it secured down. So just a few more screws here. It's a bit of a pain. This is an iPad Mini 1, and they just went mental with the screws on these. The iPad Mini 2, which is pretty much the same thing, uses the same digitizer. It only has like 6 screws in here. This one's got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15. Which just seems like a bit much to me. So this now just pops out. Just using the tweezers here to get in that hole. And then pop that off. And we're in. And you can see here, I'll just zoom in a wee bit. This is the battery. So, you know, you've got your iPad. The biggest thing behind the screen is the battery. This is the logic board. And some antennas and speakers down the bottom. This is the 3 or 4G antennas and your camera. So really these parts are, you know, what makes this thing up. So we need to get in here to get this screen off, but first we want to get, well, we can't do that first, we need to get the battery disconnected. In fact, I'll just switch it off first. I meant to do that earlier. So in here, oh, I did see the guy said sometimes it comes up asking for a passcode. It must be set to come up after a wee while. Anyway, I need to get that so I can test it when it's finished. Right, so we're just taking these screws out, the iPad's off now. It's not really a good idea to be, this thing is all gunked up. So the reason why we switch it off first is so that when we disconnect the battery, it's not like a shock, like it's been shut down nicely. So we need to disconnect the battery, because when we start taking these out, if you don't disconnect the battery, it can lead to all sorts of either temporary or sometimes permanent problems, which you don't really want. Right, so I'm going to do this and see if I can do it without taking that tape off. I'll show you this in a minute, but this is stuck down. Let me get that out now. Just put that down so we can slide this out the side. So usually you would take the screen off and undo all this stickiness here, here and here, and take the screen off. I've just slid this out the side just for, you know, because it was an option there. Now, you'll notice that's a white screen. I don't have any white screens, but the customer was happy enough to have a black screen replacement because they need it quickly. So they said they'll just have a black one. So here we go, the black screen replacement, which will go on. And we'll just stick this back in the way that other one came out, hopefully. I'm just going to pull that. Oh, never mind, that's came off now anyway. Right. So that's what should happen to start. We're just unstick that. Quite a lot of stickiness in there for. Oh, here we go. Going to get interrupted by a child now. So we stick that in first, and lie it down, and then stick the LCD back in. Who is it? And stick that back in, and just lie that down just there. We'll be back in a minute. Right, now we're going to plug the battery back in. We need to test this thing. So everything's plugged back in, there's no risk of any issues there. Just going to take this bit of tape away. I think this is another bit that was like a removable part of the adhesive. You take the backing off obviously and stick it down. So we'll just turn this on. Okay, so you just turn it this way so we can see. So really I'm just checking that the screen is responsive to touch and there's no like dead spots or anything. I mean, there's sometimes you get these screens and there's dead spots in them, but this one seems okay. Let's try, I'm not going to type too much, not too much like that, just in case I lock it or whatever. Can't get that down. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So we'll turn it back around, flip it open again, and we'll just switch off. We'll do this to stop it going crazy. So now we're going to put this has got all sorts of gunk on it. We're going to put all the screws back in. We need to get all this adhesive off of here so that the new adhesive has the metal bit to stick to it and not stuck on top of old adhesive. Scrapey, scrapey. Also getting a wee bit of scraping on the case, you don't really need to worry about that too much because it'll help the adhesive stick if there's something to stick to, you know. If it's just a straight edge, a flat edge, then there's nothing to grip. So okay, you want something to be a just being extra careful here really, because that's the Wi-Fi antenna and you don't want to be breaking that. No, especially if you don't have a spare one. They're not really expensive, but it's not, no one's going to be happy with me if I send their iPad back to them and they can't get on the Wi-Fi, are they? I wonder when this dent happened, because that might cause a bit of a problem with getting the screen back on. Missed the screws up there. Also, it's good to, you'll see I'm being pretty careful when I'm going up here, because if this slips off and stabs into the logic board, that's also going to be a bit of a party pooper. The other option was that it could have stabbed into the battery. Double party pooper. So we'll try and avoid stabbing anything with this little, I don't even know what this is called. I call it a spatula, because that's kind of what it looks like. And we're just scraping all this adhesive off up here, right past the camera, without getting adhesive all over it, because no one wants that in their selfie. Right, it's looking pretty good. Get that off. Have we got this side? Not sure. Going up it now. This also helps to remove any of the sort of grime that builds up in the edges after a wee while of being used. Down this side, get rid of griminess. Right, pretty happy with that. Griminess. This is all griminess now. And we'll get these screens back on. So, underneath that, right, and we can get back to this. Connecting the battery. Since we have, what did we do there? Got rid of all this stickiness, right, that's fine. This one. We'll just switch this on. There we go. Now it's the turn of this piece. Go back in. And we'll get all these screws in. So although I was being a bit like, we need to keep all the screws separate, all of these ones are the same size. You know, I messed them up a bit when I was cleaning it. They're all the same size except these two, which go in that part there. This screwdriver needs oiled. So just put all these screws in. I'll speed this up so you don't have to watch it all. Oh, I don't know how much you missed. Anyway, we've just stuck the screen back on. Stuck it all down, made sure that the cable is out the way. Look here. That Might cause some problems actually. Can we do something about that? Let's see if we can just gonna unstick it real quick here. So I'll tell you why in a second. So I mentioned this bit before. Might have been a bit of an issue, this little scraggly bit, and it does appear to be a bit of an issue because it's not in the right circle, in the right sort of shape. I'm just trying to get rid of some of it so that the screen can go back in. There we go. That should be it. Just clean these fingerprints off of there. Right. There, that's cleared it there. So you can see this is a bit, oh, can you see it? Focus. Focus. Whatever. Right, this was a little bit of scratching here from when it's been dropped, which was causing it not to sit down properly, and if you don't fix that, then what happens is someone will push it and it will smash the screen with like a little point of metal. So just check this, it's all good. Pretty happy with that. Screen's all stuck down. That's a good job. Replaced, I'll leave the sticky bit on because I like to leave that on for people to remove at their leisure rather than me doing it. Can't really do anything about this sidewaysness. I'll just reset it now. That's it done. Good job.